told you, you see, I'm going to be preaching about Independence Day today. Okay, Independence Day. I know there are so many things that we could speak regarding this subject of independence and freedom, especially with our environment nowadays, the social environment that we are experiencing. And I'm pretty sure that I could preach a whole series of messages on this, and I will in the near future. I will, but right now I want you to think about the relationship between social freedom. That's what we celebrated, the freedom of our nation, social freedom of society, that we are a free society, and also with spiritual freedom, okay? Spiritual freedom. Because the reason that I want to keep mentioning both is because sometimes we lose sight of the reality that both are important, okay? Both are important. And, you know, because of the system that we have here, we tend to have more the mentality and the system of the Greek culture, the Roman Greek culture, than the Hebrew culture. There were two complete different cultures, okay? And even though we study the Bible, we tend to continue because of our background. We went to schools that they have that type of the Roman Greek culture. And one of the things that we have learned that we're not even aware of, that we tend to separate life, okay? Like, okay, the spiritual life, the religious, the church, it's one thing. The family is another thing. Our friendship is another thing. Business is another thing. And we separate. School is another thing. So we separate them. But in the Hebrew culture, there was no separation. There was only one life. One life. And everything was related to the governing of God, because they had a different type of government. They had a theocracy where God was governing the nation. So the mentality for them, they grew up with everything had to do with God. Everything. But not the Romans, not the Greeks. And at the beginning of Christianity, that was the main culture. So that's why we continue having that problem, and it is a problem. You see, that's why I have always told you, look, when you hear the word politics, you think about something dirty. But if you hear the word social issues, then you don't see nothing dirty on it. But it's the same thing. It's just the same thing. Politics and social issues, it's just the same thing. And in the past, you see, the liberal movement convinced the church that the church wouldn't just get involved in politics. That's dirty. Don't get involved in politics. You're just get involved with God. But then they advanced social issues because we said, no, we cannot just, get into social issues. When we didn't mention a social issue, we cannot get in politics because, we just have to focus on the gospel. Just focus on the gospel. Like if the gospel doesn't cover social issues. Because, you see, that's why, and we're going to be looking at that. That's why I decided to go through the Bible, and so that we can see the overview of the Bible. Because one of the things, when you study the prophets of the Old Testament, when you study in detail the life of the prophets, you could, if you apply the titles that we use nowadays to people, you would say that a prophet was a political activist. A political activist, because they were so involved in social issues, which is the same as politics, That they were always confronting the king, the president, and telling the president, the king, you're wrong. This is not the right direction. God is telling that we should trust in Him, not make this arrangement with Egypt or with Syria or with this. And they would tell the people, look, the king is wrong. With all his counselors are wrong. This is not the right way. And they were constantly teaching the people what God truly wanted for the nation, and where the king, the leaders were wrong. And they were constantly, why do you think they killed the prophets? Why do you think? Because of that, because they were getting involved in the political things, in the social issues of their day. Why? Because they consider everything to be the same under God's umbrella. Everything. They didn't separate and say, no, I cannot talk about that issue because I'm a prophet. Say, no, it's my responsibility as a prophet to take care of my people, the people that God gave me to be their pastor, to take care of them, my nation, the direction of my nation that is under God. So, if you think that I'm going to be political, just change the word and see social issues. That way you won't have any problem. And especially that I'm going to try, the way that I prepare the message is, it's not my opinions. I'm just going to give you historical facts. Okay? Like the Bible. See, we go to the Bible and we say, okay, this is facts from the scriptures. So I'm going to, on social issues, I'm going to say, look, these are the facts from history. It's not my opinion. It's only facts from history. Okay? Because, you see, freedom, we have to understand that freedom is not free. Okay? Sometimes we tend to see it that way because of the first word, freedom, and we think that it's free, but it's not free. There is a great cost getting it, okay? And you know, if you have studied history, and you know that we hear about they have to give their lives, blood, sweat, and tears. That's what they say. It was the cost of our freedoms, the freedoms that we are enjoying nowadays. It costs all that. So there is a great cost getting it and keeping it. And that's the thing that we need to be awakened as Christians, that we have to fight for keeping freedom. Okay? We have to fight for keeping freedom. It's the same way. Do you have to fight for sound doctrine, or you don't care if sound doctrine dies? You don't care, or you're going to fight for it? And the way you know that you're going to fight is by sharing sound doctrine, correcting people. That's what the Bible teaches that we are supposed to do as Christians. So the same thing with our freedoms. We have to keep them. Keep the freedoms that we have. Fight for them. We have to fight for them. See, because when this nation, you know, with all the blood, all the tears, all the sweat that was shed for freedom, this was one of the main declarations. Okay, so the battle for freedom is a constant battle. Okay, it's an everyday battle. It's an everyday battle. You know, it's almost at least twice or three times a week I'm writing letters to our different representatives, because, you know, that's the way we do battle nowadays, by getting in touch with them, by asking them questions, by letting them know that, look, I'm on top of what you're doing. I'm on top of how you're voting, okay? Because I really care about the direction of society. I really care. That's my responsibility as a pastor. So the battle for freedom is a constant battle. And we need to wake up and see it that way, and then just say, oh, no, everything is fine and dandy. As long as I have work, I have money, I have vacations, I don't care. Because there's going to come a time that you're going to cry for not caring. Okay? So freedom is not free. And the declaration, when they experience freedom, and it's a declaration that is for us, it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident. And you know the thing. I don't know if you got it, but it's a joke. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay? So those are important, those declarations of independence. That's very important. That's the foundation for independence, and we have to keep that and know that they come from our Creator. So you see, our nation constantly in the past, they were looking for God's direction in the Scriptures and see what is God's direction for this new nation. And there is a reason why this is the greatest nation in the history of the world up to this day. It's not just by coincidence, it's the blessing of God. For these reasons, because that was their effort. We're gonna seek God's direction for our nation. And we hold these truths to be self-evident, okay? Saying, okay, it is very clear in our conscience, it is clear in the Scriptures that we were created equal. That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable. Unalienable means that nobody can take them away from us because they come from God, okay? So that's why we have to always be aware. When the government wants to take away our rights, they are taking the place of God. Because these rights come from God, not from the government. Okay? So that's the difference between us and communist regimes. That they take away rights and you have the rights that the government says that you have, and there in reality there are no rights. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay? So that's the statement for liberty. All right? And no one can take away these rights from us. Okay? Because the first task and responsibility of the government is to make these rights secure. Secure. That's why each and every person that comes into power, into a political position, they have to promise that they're going to follow the Constitution, that they're going to respect and follow the Constitution of the United States, because that's their responsibility, to make these rights secure. Okay, secure. Now, we're talking about, this is social freedom, but we're comparing it with spiritual freedom. And as Christian, when we experience spiritual freedom through the new birth, so we also have our spiritual declaration, and our spiritual declaration, it's in John 8:36. So if the Son makes you free, you will be free. You will be free. You will be free. Okay? So it is a statement that says, if you were truly saved by Jesus Christ, by His power, by His sacrifice, by His blood, it's going to have to show by you being free from sin, from the bondage, from the shackles of sin. It doesn't mean that now you have to show that you're perfect. No, but that you're not like you used to be under sin, under the dominion of sin. Okay? Not anymore. So that's our spiritual declaration. And it's very important for us to believe it and to also clarify people when they think that they are right with God. Tell them, you know, if you're not free by the Son, by Jesus Christ, you're not free. Oh, that's mean, Pastor. You're not going to say that to a person. Try to be nice, not be like that. See, that's the problem that we have nowadays, that we want to be accepted, we want to be nice, they don't want people to think bad about us, and we can miss the opportunity of sharing the gospel. Sharing the gospel, because why are we here as Christians? Do you think the Lord saved us so we can go to heaven? If that was the main reason, the moment that He saved me, He could have just taken me to heaven, if that was the main reason. But that's a secondary reason. The main reason for saving me is so that I can be used by Him to save others. That's why I'm still here. That's why you are still here. So don't be afraid of that. Because look, in heaven, we're going to have an eternity, and you're not going to have or need to evangelize. I know right now here, you feel like this is the worst thing that I can do. This is really scary. This is that. You have bad feelings about evangelizing. But that's the reason why we're here. That's the reason why we're here. So that we can share the gospel with other people. So don't be afraid, because how long do you think you're going to be here on this earth with this life? How long? Do you know? We don't know. Maybe this is your last message that you hear, and then you go. You go. You never know. You never know. Okay? So that's why it is important for us to defend the truth. Okay? Defend the truth. Because look, in Galatians 5:1, it says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." Galatians 5:1. Stand firm. So, see, we're not supposed to apply this conviction to stand firm in our freedom, spiritual freedom only, but also the social freedoms that we have. We have to stand firm and say, no, this is not according to the original vision and establishment of this nation. You're trying to take us in a different route. This is not the original route that God gave our leaders. Okay? The same way with spirituality. Okay? Because the price of freedom was and is high. Remember, if you know the story of United States, before it was the United States, when there were only colonies, Britain was the world superpower. Okay? And we were a colony of Britain. So Britain had the best army in the world, and way, way more money than America. The 13 colonies lacked a professional army. They didn't have a navy, while Britain had the best army, the best navy in the world. So United States had only militiamen, and they were lightly armed. They didn't have training. Now, if you had been a member of the Second Continental Congress in 1776, you were considered a rebel and a traitor to the king. You see? So you would be like, you're going against the maximum authority. You're going against our government, because the main government of the colonies were Britain. Okay? So if you were a part of that Continental Congress that they were trying to get freedom, independence from Britain, they were considered to be rebels. And if you were considered a rebel by the king, you knew that they had already posted an amount of money for your head, for your capture. So signing your name on a document of independence meant that you promised to give your life, your possessions, and your sacred honor for the cause of freedom. You know, it doesn't cost us that. That was the payment of what they had to pay so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we have. Okay? The writers of the Declaration of Independence literally gave their lives, just like Jesus. In order for us to have freedom, Jesus gave his life. They gave their life, they shed blood for us, for our freedoms, the same way Jesus shed his blood for our spiritual freedom. So we have to look at both with appreciation and see, wow, those are precious blessings from God. As a nation, for our society, and spiritually for us. For us. And that's why the Apostle Paul reminds us in 1 Corinthians 6, you're not your own property. Okay? You were bought with a price. You were actually purchased with the precious blood of Jesus and made his own. So then, honor and glorify God with your body. So Paul is reminding us, look, you were bought. Your freedom cost a great price to Jesus Christ, his own blood. He shed his own blood. So when we celebrate independence, freedom, we have to be reminded that it was not free, that they paid a high price for our freedom. So we should appreciate that. Okay? We should appreciate that. Look, let me ask you a question and try to be honest with yourself. Has our love and appreciation for social and spiritual freedom increased or decreased? Because let's speak first on spiritual freedom. Once we are born again, our first love with the Lord, our appreciation for this new freedom that I found in Christ, the forgiveness of my sins, and that I'm able now because of the presence of the Holy Spirit in me to overcome sin in my life. So I really appreciate my spiritual freedom to the point that I don't care sharing the gospel. Even if I don't know the whole Bible, even if I don't know theology or doctrine, I'm just letting people what happened to me. And I'm sharing the gospel here and there and there and there and there and there. But little by little, that begins to stop. Stop and stop. Why? Because our appreciation and our love for our spiritual freedom has decreased, not increased. It has decreased. And it has to increase. That's what the Bible teaches, that we should constantly be growing in the grace and in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. See, the knowledge of knowing him and knowing the scriptures, and in the grace, applying that to my relationships, to my daily living, to our society, to the world. That's growing in the grace. So think about that. The same way, has your love and appreciation for social freedom, for the freedoms that we have, do you have grown in appreciation to the social freedoms that we have? Or you just don't care about it. Like, because when we grow and we truly appreciate our social freedoms, you're going to fight for them. You're going to fight for them. When you hear that, look, we need to write a letter, we need to make a call to our representatives, do this, you're going to do it because you appreciate your freedoms. You don't want to lose your freedoms. You don't want to lose what others were able to get for us with their lives, with their blood, with their tears. So we have to truly grow because freedom is not free. And not all the sacrifices are physical, like the sacrifices of all those that founded our nation. Their sacrifices were mostly physical because they have to pay with their own lives. Okay, but Christians nowadays, we fight a war that is not physical in nature. It is a war of words, of arguments, of debate. That's the main battle that we have. And we need to know the truth, and we need to share the truth. Because, tell me, can we apply this verse only to spiritual freedom, or we can also apply it to social freedom? Then they will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Don't you think when we talk about social issues that it's important for me to know the truth so that I can share the truth with others? Because only the truth is the only element that can set us free from error, from wrong, from distortion. Only the truth can set us free. Don't you think it's important? Why do you think I'm involved with constantly studying theology, doctrine, but also social issues. I'm also constantly studying, researching social issues. Because I see that it's important. I don't want to separate things. I want to see everything like God sees it, okay? One life only. Not with compartments, different compartments. No, there's no such thing in God's mind, in God's system. There's no compartments, okay? It's only one life. So the same thing, we should apply this principle to social issues, to spiritual issues. That's why we are concerned when you have a relative or a friend that you know that person has wrong doctrine. For example, he's a Mormon, he's a Jehovah's Witnesses. Don't you think that person needs to know the truth? Yes or no? The same thing with social issues. When you know a person has the wrong position on social issues, and it is wrong because there are absolutes, okay? There are absolutes. And the worst mistake that we can do is to believe that all areas of life, there are no absolutes in all areas of life. No, there are areas of life that we have absolutes. And those absolutes come from the Judeo-Christian scriptures, the Bible, the ethics, the morals. Those are absolute rules for us to follow. So right now, that's our battle for the truth. Why? Because we're constantly getting information, constantly. You go to the television, you're getting information, and you have to be aware and see, because there is correct information and there is false information. And if you don't know the truth, you're going to get everything like if it is the truth. Okay? False information is going to be part of your beliefs or your mind. And that's why I'm so worried about our youth, all the youth that we have here. Okay? I'm worried because that information, they live in this system, the system of information. They're constantly getting information, okay? But the information that they're getting in school, friends, and this and that, it's indoctrination. And that indoctrination that they are getting, it's liberal indoctrination. It's liberal indoctrination. So as parents, we need to know the truth on what they are learning, what they are getting involved in. Because suddenly you're going to see your young girl, your young man getting involved in some kind of liberal movement, and you're going to say, what happened? What happened? Well, what happened? That you need to be aware of that, know the truth, share the truth, teach them, warn them about those things that are not wrong. Because you would tell me, would you let your children get indoctrinated by a Mormon? Would you let them? Why? Because you say that's wrong. But then a social issue group, sometimes we don't see it the same way, and we let them indoctrinate our children. Social justice, Black Lives Matter, and all other groups, and you let them get your children and indoctrinate them with that type of teachings that are not biblical. On the contrary, they're contrary to the Bible. Contrary to the Bible. So we have to learn, we have to know the truth. Okay? We want our children to be free from wrong. Because what are the basis for confronting wrong, distortions? What are the basis? What is the basis for confronting spiritual, doctrinal distortions? What is our basis? Tell me. Our opinions or the scriptures? The scriptures, okay? There's an absolute source for us to confront distortion, and that is the Bible. This is our what we believe about the Bible. The Bible is the only rule for faith and practice for the believer. In every conservative seminary that you go, this is the first thing that you're gonna learn, because they're gonna tell you here, the Bible is the only source for faith and practice. Only the Bible. Don't expect any other source for faith and practice. Faith, what we believe; practice, what we live. What we believe, what we live. Only the Bible. Only the Bible. So don't you think if we follow that, it's going to affect social issues? What we believe, what we live? Don't you think it's going to affect? It has to affect. If not, we're making the mistake of putting it aside and saying, no, this is another area, it's different from church, and you're separating areas instead of having the mind of Christ. That means seeing life from God's perspective. There's only one perspective, okay? God doesn't separate and say, well, I have my opinion on social issues, and I have my different opinion on church, and I have a different... No. There's no such thing for God. Now, what is the basis for confronting distortions on social issues, on the liberty that we have, on the way this nation was founded? What is, like for us, the Bible, okay? Now, for social issues or for political issues, what do you think is the maximum foundation? The Constitution. The Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of the United States of America. Supreme law. So when we see that they're going beyond the Constitution, That's when we have to defend. The same way with the Bible. When you see that somebody is going beyond the Bible and saying, well, you see, yeah, the Bible is good, but we have other sources that we can use for the betterment of society and this and that. Are you going to accept that? Or are you going to say, no, it's the only rule for faith and practice? Or you're going to say, oh yeah, we can add the Book of Mormon also, because that's the way the Mormons see it. They say, yeah, the Bible is good. Yeah, it's a great revelation from God, but the final revelation from God is the Book of Mormon. So we can use both. We can use both. They say that, but at the end, once you get into it's all the Book of Mormon. Why? Because if they really get into the Bible, it's going to contradict the Book of Mormon. Okay? So, the same way, here, when we see the social issues, am I going to have a position that is consistent with the Bible, with the morals, with the ethics of the Bible? The same way, am I going to defend the nation, the laws that are according to the Constitution? Because the Constitution is the supreme law of the United States of America. Okay? Now, let me give you a government quiz. Okay? Let's see. What type of government does the Constitution establish? Because this is important to know. What type of government does the Constitution establish? Okay, I'm going to give you three options. Does it establish a democracy, a constitutional republic, or socialism or communism? You see, don't be deceived. It's the same thing, socialism and communism. The same thing. Because, let's say, I show you a picture of Sergio Armijo when he was 5 years old. Okay? And then I show you a picture of Sergio Armijo when he's 65 years old. Is it the same person? It just looked different, right? The same way, socialism and communism is the same thing, but it just looks a little bit different when it becomes older and when it develops completely into communism. But it's the same person. It's the same thing, the same ideology. Okay? It's the same thing. So which one do you go? That the type of government that our Constitution established.
Constitutional republic?
Okay, did you hear? From the mouth of the child, wisdom is going to come, the Bible tells us. Okay? He said a constitutional republic. The majority of people, they believe that we have a democracy. Okay? That's our type of government that we have. Now, I'm going to show you so that you can see the difference one by one. A democracy. What is a democracy? A democracy is government by the people, a form of government in which the supreme power is vested in the people and exercised directly by them or by their elected agents under a free electoral system. Okay? So you say, yeah, well, that's our system. Yeah, in a way, but it's not complete basis for our system, because in a pure democracy, you can get rid of a constitution and just allow those that are elected by us to make the laws. And they're going to make the laws according to what they believe, according to their position, and according to the changes that they can see that the society is having changes. So they're going to make their laws. So the laws are going to keep changing and changing and changing. There's not going to be a real established foundation, nothing like that. Okay? when we have a constitutional republic that is our type of government that is based on the Constitution. A constitutional republic is a form of government in which a representative is elected by the people, see, to govern them as the Constitution directs them to. The Constitution directs them to, not their own beliefs, not their own positions, not their own philosophies. But the Constitution is the one that is going to direct them. It's like us. So anytime that you hear a politician say, hey, elected me because I'm going to change this country. I'm going to change it fundamentally. What do you think that person is saying? The majority of people don't know, and they just say, yay! Yeah, what they're saying is, I'm going to get rid of the Constitution because that's our foundation. I'm going to get rid of the Constitution, and we're going to establish a new form of government. That could be a pure democracy, or that could be a socialism that is going to end up in becoming communism. That's what's going to happen. And that's why we need to understand that, to know the truth, so that we won't be deceived. Okay? Now, socialism. What is socialism or communism? A government system of social organization that promotes the entrusting of the ownership and control of the means of production and distribution of capital, land, etc., in the community as a whole, controlled and distributed by a totalitarian government dominated by a single and self-perpetuating political party. That's what it is. Hey, don't you think that a political party would love to be the only one? To be totalitarian? Don't you think they would love to be the only one? That's what it is. Socialism, communism, and look, it sounds very attractive. You see, everything that is produced here in the United States of America belongs to all of us. But in reality, it belongs to the government, because the government is going to decide how they are going to give you. They're going to say, okay, yes, I'm going to give you free school, I'm going to give you housing, I'm going to give you this, but at the end, we're going to end up like Cuba, like Venezuela, like other parts that they have already tried this system, and time again has proven that it doesn't work, okay? But you see, usually young people, they see it and they say, yes, let's go for it. Because they don't know. They don't know the truth. They don't know the truth. And that's what happens. And that's socialism, okay? That's socialism. Now, you see, we have denominations as Christians. The Baptists, the Methodists, the Pentecostal, the Presbyterians, and we have all kinds of denominations. Well, the same way in social life, we have parties. The Democrats, the Republicans, the Independents, the Marijuanos, well, all kinds of different parties that we have, okay? Green Party, that's the Green Party. Okay, so we have parties. We have denominations, okay? And see, let me show you the parties, how you can have them clear in your mind, okay? We have the conservative, capitalist, and it's considered the right, because have you heard the right and the left, the right and the left. Okay, the right is considered to be the conservative capitalist, okay? Conservative capitalist, okay? That means for conservative, it's in reference to faith, values, and institutions derived from the Judeo-Christian teachings. That title, to be a conservative, means I'm a conservative because I continue to believe in the standards, the ethics, and the morals that come from the Judeo-Christian scriptures, the Bible. Old Testament, New Testament. Okay? And I believe in a system that is capitalist. Okay? Not socialist, not communist, but capitalist. Okay? Because let me read to you what capitalist means. Capitalism is an economic system where private entities own the factors of production. The four factors are entrepreneurship, capital goods, natural resources, and labor. Individuals own their labor. In the capitalist system, you own your labor. You're the owner, not the government. Okay? Not the government. You own that. See, one of the ways that the government can begin to be the owner is by raising your taxes. You have your own business, and they say, okay, now you're going to pay 50%, and now you're going to pay 60%. And that's the way that they begin to get over your business to the point where you say, I give up. I give up, so they take over. That's why they want to take over. They want to take over everything. Everything they want to take over. And you have to be careful because that's contrary to be a conservative capitalist. Okay? And we have the liberal progressive, the left, liberal progressive. Liberal, you know what does that mean? Liberal means no bound to any religion, no bound to any values. Values are determined by society as it evolves. Okay? So liberal means that as society changes, the values, the ethics, the morals can change. As the society changes, well, now we decided that there's nothing wrong with two ladies to get married, two boys to get married, to marry your dog, or for an adult to marry a child. That's the next thing that they're already fighting to make it legal. So they changed that. That's liberalism. Okay? Now, liberals now they use the word progressive. Okay? Because the word progressive, it's the organizations that they use to promote their party. Okay? And now, don't be afraid of my words. Usually a conservative capitalist, it's a Republican, and usually a liberal progressive, it's a Democrat. Okay? Now, to be a progressive, this is what it means. Progressivism is a term that encompasses a wide spectrum of social movements. Those social movements that are created by the Democrats that include environmentalism, labor, agrarianism, anti-poverty, anti-racism, civil rights, women's rights. By women's rights, we're talking about abortion, animal rights, social justice, and political ideologies such anarchism. That's what we are experiencing now with all the anarchism, the violence, and it's anarchism. They use it as a tool to manipulate society, communism, socialism, and liberalism. Okay? That's what it is. Okay? And the Bible warned us, see, and can be applied to both areas, the spiritual area, the social area, when it says, let no one deceive you with empty words. For because of such things, God's wrath comes on those who are disobedient. Okay? Therefore, do not be partners with them. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as the children of light. For the fruit of the light consists in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. You see, there are absolutes for us. that we have to defend and apply them to all areas of life and find out what pleases the Lord. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. Expose them. Okay? So, as you can hear, Democrats complain about racism. Oh, you're a racist, and oh, be careful, and we need this movement, Black Lives Matter and all that, and they use it very effectively. Okay? And who do you think was the president that achieved the freedom, the emancipation of slavery in 1863? Who was that president? This person. Who is he? Sergio Armijo? No. Abraham Lincoln. Okay? But if he was the one that fought, if you have read the story about his life, for the freedom of black people, why do you think that now Black Lives Matter are destroying everything about Abraham Lincoln? Why? What could be the reason? The reason is, like Esqueleto said, it's obviously political. Okay? It's obviously political. Why? Because Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. He was a Republican. And look who emancipated the slaves. A Republican president, Abraham Lincoln. Instead of saying, oh yeah, Abraham Lincoln, no. But because it's a political movement, it's not a movement that are truly fighting for life. Because, you see, I would ask a person that if they ask me, do you believe in Black Lives Matter? I would tell them, the slogan, yes, but not the organization. I don't believe in the organization. The slogan. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that all Black lives matter? All Black lives? He's going to think about it and say, well, I guess yes. Okay, so how come you're not doing something about that 1,000 babies are killed, black babies, every day they are aborted. Every day, 1,000. Yes, I'm against what happened to George Floyd, and because of the death of one person, oh, let's destroy the nation, let's destroy all our government, let's destroy everything. But what about those 1,000 black babies that are destroyed every day? Okay, every day. What about them? Those lives don't matter. They should matter. Okay, they should matter. It matters to me. That's why I'm against abortion. Okay, I'm not going to be deceived by that movements. Okay, so he was the president. Now let me show you. I'm just showing you history. Okay, I'm not giving you my opinion. How the two parties voted for the emancipation of slavery. There came a time where they have to vote. Are we going to let all the blacks, slaves, to be free? We need to vote. We need to vote. And this is how the vote came. I'm pretty sure you're not going to hear that from the news, from ABC, CBS, CNN, all. But you see, one party, only 2% voted for the emancipation of slavery. Only 2 persons of that political party say, yes, let them be free. They're equally like us. And our Constitution says that all men are created equal. So they are created equal. So let them be free. Only 2 persons from that party, and from the other party, 75 voted, yes, they are equal like us. Let them be free. So if you follow the news and everything, you would say, I'm pretty sure that those 2 are Republicans and those 75 are Democrats. But it's the contrary. It was the Republicans. 75%, 75 of them voted yes. They are equal like us. They follow the scriptures. While the Democrats, look, 52 of them voted no, keep them as slaves. And only 1 Republican voted keep them as slaves. Did you know that? The majority of people don't know that, but I'm just showing you history. And that's something that they're not teaching our children in public schools. They're not teaching the right history. Let me give you other information, historical facts, okay? Republicans gave blacks the right to vote, okay? And Democrats try to keep it away. They kept fighting and telling people, no, we cannot give them, they're not educated. And you know what was the main reason for the liberals, the Democrats, to be against letting the blacks to be free? Because they were more affected by the teachings that in those days were starting and they were getting very strong of Charles Darwin about evolution. So they thought that the blacks were not completely evolved like the white. And that's why they were against. So you see always the biblical wins over Charles Darwin and the theory of evolution. And nowadays, what is the basis in public schools? Evolution. Evolution. You see, so they gave them the right to vote. Republicans passed the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and Democrats opposed it. They opposed it. 1964. The first black Republican elected to the U.S. Senate was in 1871. And it took 128 years for the Democrats to elect a black senator. 128 years it took them. Who were the first ones? The Republicans. They didn't have any problems with the blacks. It was the Democrats. They had the problem. Even to this day, 50% of all black senators have been Republicans. The first 22 blacks elected to the U.S. House were all Republicans. The first 22 elected were all Republicans. Okay? Now, we know and we have heard about this Baptist minister, Martin Luther King Jr. He is best known for advancing civil rights through nonviolence and civil disobedience. He said, no, yes, we're going to let people know what we believe, but no violence, okay? And we're not going to go against the laws, okay? We're going to do everything according to the Bible, because he was inspired by the Christian beliefs. He was a Baptist minister, okay? Here it is, okay? So what party do you think he belonged to? Well, probably would say, oh, a Democrat. He was a Republican. He was a Republican. Evil Republicans that nowadays they're trying to see it like evil Republican. Okay? So what is the reason for me sharing these historical facts with you? The same thing with the spiritual facts that I'm Sunday after Sunday showing you. I want you to know this so that no one will come and lead you into error through their persuasive arguments and clever words. It can be applied for both things, the spiritual and the social. It can be applied. And I don't want that because I know that it's going to hurt you, your children, and our society. That's why I want you to know the truth. Okay? So we need to fight for our spiritual freedom, and we need to fight for our social freedoms that we have. Okay? So let's pray. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for this time that we can be together considering this important information for us, because we want to be on the side of truth, Lord, in every area of life, because that's the only way that we're going to honor you, Lord, by being in the truth, like you are the truth. So lead us and guide us, for we ask it in Jesus' name and for his honor and glory. Amen.